everybody. I'd like to talk a little bit about week three. So now you're going to move on to developing your logo and choosing color and fonts to go with it. So it's basically you take one of the thumbnails and then you develop it further. If we had tons of time, I'd have you do sketches of that, but we don't. So I basically just want you to take one of the thumbnails and draw it using Illustrator. It has to be vector based. And then, so that's one part of the assignment. Part two is figuring out color palettes, what colors work together. You want to just do one, you want to do a contrasting color, you want to do all earth tones, whatever your vision is, you want to figure out the colors to use with it. And then the typography. So you might have a logo that has, for example, let me show you something that I've been working on. I didn't actually do this logo, but it's a good example. The type next to the logo is a nice complete set. You might know this already, but the logo part itself is actually called the mark, and then the entire piece together is considered the logo. So similar to typography, where you might hear the word typeface and the word font, and you think they're interchangeable, but they're not. Typeface is the entire family: bold, black, italics, Roman, condensed. And font is the individual one, like bold. Anyway, so that's what you got with logo and mark as well. So I want you to do studies for the type that will go with the logo. Let me get back to that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about that. A good place to start, let's just start out with the first part of the assignment. So you take your sketch. You guys have probably seen these before, process sketches for different famous logos. So you take your sketch and just draw it in Illustrator. And if you don't know this already, of course you don't want to use Photoshop because pixelated images don't scale. I mean, they scale a little bit, but if suddenly someone said, I want to do a billboard of that, you'd be in big trouble. So you take your sketch. If you have time, do yourself a favor and sketch it out a little bit more. Take a picture of it, pull it into Illustrator, and this would actually be an ideal sort of level of sketch here, and then you can draw it from there. Hey, where did that come from? All right, you can see the shell one was very scientific. The symmetry is pretty amazing. That's funny, that's how that came about. Just a tissue paper, very famous. Anyway, these are fun to look through, how they developed the very strange Starbucks logo, MailChimp, and so forth. So from there, you draw an Illustrator. If you're not super familiar with Illustrator, I'm just going to show you real quick how to do this. Let me get rid of this logo. See what I can find on my desktop for you guys. Let's see, in Illustrator, you go to Place. I have a lot of bad sketches on here of something I'm working out. Yep, that won't work. Let's do something a little bit more visual. And if I look at things as icons, I can sort of see, possibly get something with a drawing on it. And I'm wasting your time, but I will find something soon. There we go. Okay, so I'm doing a banner for this company, and let's say I just want to trace that. This is actually a photograph. So let me go to Layers. The first thing you do is you place the image that you're going to trace, and you put a lock on it in the Layers palette. And then there, you could just call this one Photo, and then this layer is the drawing. And then you get your pen tool and you just start drawing. So I'm assuming that since you're all older, that you've probably taken basic Illustrator classes. You know how to use all the tools, you know how to change the brushes, you know how to tweak with the selection tools. You probably made logos and graphic art before, etc. So you know how to use the Bezier handles, all that. If you don't, send me an email and I'll make a video for you on anything you need a refresher about. All right, so let's pretend that was my logo. It's some kind of bizarre arm thing. So when you're done, of course, you just delete or turn off the photo layer after you're done tracing. It's always a good idea to zoom in like crazy, get the white selection tool, and adjust from there. One little trick that helps me a lot is saving it as a PDF and then opening it either within a website or just alone. And for some reason, when you do that, it shows you the line art at a different scale, and you get a real idea of what's going on and how professional and smooth it looks. Like, for example, if I were to really use this as a logo, I would try to reduce the points to as few as possible. What you don't want are any like little strange bumps that don't make any sense. So you want to smooth it out. You want it to work in any size, anywhere, and you want to make it as streamlined as possible. Anyhow, so that's part one of this assignment. Draw your logo from your thumbnail sketch. Now I'm going to stop and move on to part two because this is turning into an epic video. Let me know if you have any questions.